I can say, hey, um, go live real quick, answer a couple of questions. And I don't think I have a shirt on here. I don't know if I can share a screen. Access, access. Beats me. Anyway, I wish I could have showed my screen. Maybe I can. I don't know. But hey, um, so one person made a comment about disability. I do have a work disability, short term, long term, and SSI. So one thing that I do know is that Parkinson's and therefore those neurodegenerative diseases, bad ones, are a compassionate disorder disease, and those are automatically approved for the like SSI and disability through the government. So, um, that's one thing. So I'm not worried about disability per se because it's a compassionate disease. Second of all, um, Marina Petrados was asking, have I ever had an F-DOPA PET scan? So I was looking at the difference of that. I had a DAT scan, DAT scan, and she had a F-DOPA PET scan. So F-DOPA PET scans are much more expensive than the DAT scan, and they have much more higher resolution. So MRIs are MRIs, but if you need higher resolutions to see like breaks in bones and things, and they inject you with contrast. That's really what this is coming down to. They mostly prefer the F-DOPA PET test, right? Um, but it's not needed per se. So the difference is, and I was looking this stuff up. A DAT scan is a radioactive tracer that using SPECT, what's it called, single photon emission computed tomography, can help visualize the transporting system, right where it's at in the brain, where the neurons are, the dopaminergic neurons are. So, um, that's more of a spatial look than a scan, but it uses radioactive material that I don't think you use that on the F-DOPA PET scan, okay? Because the PET scan, positron emission tomography, positron emission is not radioactive. So there's a difference. The more the story is, she was asking, Marina was asking, I had an abnormal DAT scan, but normal F-DOPA PET scan. I think F-DOPA PET scan is wrong based on all my symptoms are getting worse over the past few months. The problem is, which is not on here, right? I can't answer what's not on there too, right? And it's on my own opinion, but you might be too early into the disease. I have to do a lot of assumptions on this comment, right? Because there's not much on there for the history. When you're too early, you're not going to see anything. So when you start seeing symptoms like taking their toll, just not normal tremors. Like I lost my that split second I lost my feet, moving my feet 2 years and 4 months ago. You know, I guarantee you a DAT scan would have showed nothing on that because it's too early. That was the very beginning of dopamine stopping the production. So it just depends, right? Um, and I've read, I've seen people where just because you get a test doesn't mean you're not negative or you're positive. It depends how far you're in and what it's affecting right away. The only time you're going to see dopamine, inefficiencies on tests is if it's actually affecting the brain right now. But if you have symptoms that are not related to dopamine production, what dopamine actually affects, then you're not going to see it on a scan, right? And I know from having 10 major surgeries in my life, I can promise you, not all x rays are the same, not all MRIs are the same. There's some hospitals you don't go to over here in Northwest Indiana because the imaging sucks. It's really bad. Is it useful for most things? Yeah, but not fine detail. That's why you go up to Mayo, you go to IU Health, and they want to redo some things because their imaging machines are way better. So the DAT scan tells you yes or no if you have a neurological degenerative disease. Basically, they can't tell you which one. Again, the PET scan. Now, one thing I'll say is you, from Marina, you can have an abnormal scan um, for certain medicines, right? They asked me if I was on Adderall still the day of the test. And I did it because I went cold turkey a month before 2 months. I wasn't not able to get the medicine, but I went cold turkey to troubleshoot some symptoms and other things. So I wasn't on Adderall. I know for a fact, but if I was on Adderall or a few other medicines, not that I'm on them, those would make your DAT scans abnormal, right? So They should have asked you, but they don't. Some places when I went for my test, they didn't ask me to stop taking medicines. So luckily, I was off of it because I was going cold turkey trying to see where these tremors were coming from, right? To limit things, right? Trial and error, seeing if it was a psychological medicine, cervical or quintipanin or something that was causing it. So it depends on medicine that you're on that can cause these false positives on these tests. But you got two, right? And the tests for DAT scans and the F-dopa PET scan are not needed to confirm MSA or Parkinson's or anything like that, right? What they do is they do these tests when you have multiple systems that overlap and they're not sure. Like for instance, the F-dopa PET scan, PET scan is when you have overlapping symptoms. They want to see which one it is. Is it essential tremor that tremors, or is it that kind of looks like Parkinson's MSA, or is it actually Parkinson's or MSA? So the test is trying to rule it out, but now you got two tests, and the question is, were you on medicine that will confuse the test, like Adderall for ADHD, um, or another drugs that they have? So that's a great question, but no, I did not have an F-dopa PET scan at all. Mine's conclusive and based on all the symptoms and the REM behavior disorder and everything else. Unbelievable. It's MSA. It was clear, right? And I hate to say it, but you say your symptoms have got worse over the past few months without seeing how bad you were and how bad you are now out of context. Sometimes you got to get far along in this. And most people, again, some of the videos I posted, and this is all stuff that I read, clinical, scientific articles, whatever. You got to be sometimes 2, 3 years in to see these imaging, these scans, even MRIs. You can pick up you can pick up brain atrophy, put them into nucleus caudate and stuff, and even on. That's why they probably give you MRIs of the brain, uh, cerebral cortex back here, and then the spine. Because if you're so far along in it, you can actually see atrophy, right? More in the brain than the spine, but the spine lesions and stuff will show you other diseases it could be. So you know, unfortunately, even me, I went up to Mayo and they're like, no, your MRIs are good. They did their own MRIs, right? So, but everything else says no, you're not right. It's progressing. So literally, your doctors have to see the progression of symptoms, what affects, what doesn't affect, and how fast. And just remember, if it's moving fast, it's probably MSA. And, if you ruled out everything else, right? If it's moving slower, it's Parkinson's. Parkinson's takes a lot longer. And if you have young onset Parkinson's, it takes even longer for symptoms years more to your life that you actually have than normal Parkinson's. So, um, give me a reply. I'll post your chat on her, your name, and just let me know. I mean, I'm not the doctor, but no F-dopa PET scan. That was my DAT scan was a confirmation of what we already knew it was. It was just ruling out anything else that it could have been. So, um, dealing with exhaustion, depression, and empathy. Yeah, empathy, good, bad, and ugly, how you deal with things emotionally is actually something that MSA affects, not necessarily Parkinson's. It depends. Nothing's 100%. But MSA empathy is huge. Now, depression's a byproduct of saying, "Hey, we got a crazy disease and we're losing our life." I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? Exhaustion is literally the muscles are too tired from the tremors and twitching and things like that. So it's really hard. But yeah, empathy is actually exhaustion too. Could be the crazy sighing, spontaneous sounds, and that's actually a part of MSA. I don't have that. I do some other things, but not that. But empathy is something that you actually lose with MSA at some point. Just for the record. Um, my tremors, Jackie Bales. My tremors look like a lot like this. Knees, like my knees that are coming downstairs. Also, I'm undiagnosed with my underlying cause of yet, but I have been diagnosed with widespread autonomic dysfunction. There are diseases that are straight autonomic and not MSA or Parkinson's or neurodegenerative. There are, right? I can try to post some things about that. Testing 3 areas, though I have symptoms of dysfunction in almost all areas. I'm assuming automatic things. One neurologist told me that these tremors could be part of a dysautonomia, which I know is a big part of it. Would say, have you encountered this opinion at all? My autonomic is not the primary symptom, even though it's coming on, like the failing kidneys, the failing bladder, the GI with the troubles with swallowing. I've connected that now. I need to put a video for GI. I've connected, like, why can't I swallow properly? Uh, GI. I think GI is down there. The bowel movements, and it's actually all the way up to the mouth. So tongue movements, saliva production, like, it's all GI. So now, you're talking about you know d- dysautonomia, and that's to the definition anyway. Disorder of the automatic certain nervous system controls involuntary functions such as heart rate, blood pressure, right? Autonomic. Dysautonomia usually involves failure of the sympathetic and parasympathetic parts of the ANS, right? So when they can't contribute, um, when they how do you say this? When they can't point you to a specific name on a disease, they're going to in your autonomic systems are failing. That's what they call it. Dysautonomia. It's they don't know what it is yet, but you're failing organs in the automatic part of your body that you shouldn't have to control. Um, right? They say several types of conditions, like, for example, postural orthostatic tach- tachycardia syndrome, POTS. So there's many things that cause. I've read about this before too, not in great detail, but there are many things that cause dysautonomia. Um, but when it comes to dysautonomia and you apply it to MSA, right? Dysautonomia is one thing, and I'm not being talking bad about it, but dysautonomia, if it's just that, it's not MSA, right? You got to have the lack of leave a dopamine production, right? Parts of the brain stop moving. You got to have all these other symptoms, right? Tremors, tripping, falls, gait, balance, a sighing, mask faces. You don't have to have them all at once, but there are specific diseases that for dysautonomia that causes just that. So that's a good question. No, I haven't encountered just that because I have a lot of symptoms besides that. And it sounds like you say most of your symptoms are widespread. Mine aren't widespread, right? Not that I know of anyway. Um, I was supposed to be at Mayo tomorrow for GI, but I canceled that because I have other things I got to take care of. So I pushed that to GI is not my biggest worry right now in this world, bowel movements and stuff. I'll take care of that probably in August or September. I'm back on the wait list, by the way. I probably should have done that, but it's not a big. I can get that down here if that's what they want. But no, I mean, if you only have dysautonomia, autonomic system having issues, then it's not MSA, right? Especially when they do scans. If it's not coming from here causing that dysautonomia, then it could be like spinal cord down, and that's a different type of disease, yeah, or disorder. Okay. Still, though, it sounds like you're suffering a lot more autonomic than I am. I have a question. This is Jonathan Najero. I have a question about your trimmers, as I have the same kind. Does your nose tremor when you scrunch it? And does your trimmer and do your toes tremor when you stretch them a bit? Well, I'm not going to show you my toes right now because they're under the table. But if I were to scrunch it now, I'm going to move this aside just so I can see. But I only do this for YouTube, right? I'm only going to do this one time. You only live once, right? And God knows my physical part's going downhill. So for you, simple things, absolutely, right? So scrunching my nose. So if you see my eyes and my right here, you can see the tremor. You can see the very fast movements. Now I can accentuate it. I can make the tremor worse by pushing farther up on my cheekbones, basically, the skin, right? And you see it more in the eyes. So yeah, that tremor is everywhere. And I mean everywhere as a male, as an adult, talking about medical things, it's everywhere. I don't care what you talk. You can always make things worse, right? You say scrunching, your nose is making it worse, right? I mean, if I push, I showed videos before pushing down on my hands and against gravity, things are worse. Using your muscles to contract, eating the muscles, you start to see these things, especially the weaker parts of the skin and muscle, right? And the toes are the same way. So my feet don't really bend too much anymore. The toes, I walk like Bozo the Clown, Chicago reference. But yeah, they do as well, right? A lot of my tremors are mostly interior, inside of my body. You'll see them if you look for them, especially actions. More Parkinson's people is more outside. You see the tremors all the time because they're not necessarily action tremors against gravity. They sit there in a chair and they spasm, they tremor. So quite different. Most MSA people have action tremors when you're using your body, reaching up, reaching down, trying to do things, move your legs against gravity. And a lot of Parkinson's are resting tremors. So there, you can't have both in both of those, but they do kind of separate themselves from diseases. Um, Participant in MSA clinic stem cells. I'm not pursuing MAO too much more. Um, I've had a talk with my neurologist, and she's in agreement with me and even my mother that was there. That Mayo's great, no bad things. What a great experience it was. But one doctor turned me off. Just give me a diagnosis after 2 tests, but not waiting for the other 3 or 4 tests. Just really rubbed me the wrong way. And if I'm getting the test done and going back, it's only to get the test done. It's not to see treatment from my neurologist, because he's apparently ditched me already. So I mean, I'm not going to accomplish anything else because I got a conflicting diagnosis from them. So now I got to go to a third party, another one somewhere, and say, hey, what do you think, right? To get treatment. So that's not worth it to go 6.5 hours up to there when I can get that stuff done somewhere else. All right. Um, any other questions here? I think that's probably it. I think that's it. So please ask more questions. I'm going to post your names on. I think I can go back on here and post them. Oh, there you go. Got one from the live. Cheyenne Noyes. Do you follow any particular diet or vitamin regimen to try and mitigate symptoms? McDonald's. That's a joke. But I take some over the counter all in one vitamins. Um, you know, my neurologist made it clear that you can do these things, but it's not going to help. It's not going to do anything. It might make you feel, but you know, you don't feel better with vitamins if you don't have a lack of vitamins. Wife needs a B12 shots or B something, B12, right? She's tired because the thyroid or something with B12. So she feels way better when she gets the shots. And I've asked my PCPs and neurologists about the same thing. Do I need pick me up, shots or vitamins or whatever, supplements? They said there's nothing you can do to make yourself feel better because you have all your vitamins and minerals inside your body are perfect, great levels. So the only thing that's going to make me feel better is actually physical exercise. So no, I don't. I mean, I take a multivitamin, sure, right, and some of those are for mental health. And how much do you believe in those vitamins over the counter? I'll leave that up to you. I like to hope they do something, but in the grand scheme of things, when the brain cells from the brain to spinal cord are dying or dead, a vitamin's not going to make up for that, right? So you say to mitigate symptoms, you can't mitigate symptoms with vitamins or changing diet. The reason is unless you put dopamine back in your brain, producing it, no vitamin is going to do that. By the way, there are some clinical trials of actually injecting dopamine straight to the brain. But it's weird. I should put a video on that. I don't know how good that's going, but um, this is not a disease that vitamin is going to help or fix. You can change diets for trying to get rid of the cramps, right? Symptoms like that. Yeah, more water, more bananas and vitamins, things like that. But your muscles are hurting, like cramping, not because of the lack of vitamins, but because your muscles are working. The tremors, right, are not working. Right, you're spasming all day long, and when you use your body and you're walking against gravity, stairs, or whatever, it gets 10 times worse. You're tired because of that. Your muscles genetically are just getting worn out, right? They don't want to support them to the weight anymore, stuff like that. So, if it was anything else that wasn't dead part of the brain, yeah, I would definitely invest in dietitians and more minerals and things like that. I'm going to get a dietitian too, but I would invest in a lot more. But I personally don't see the value in it. Do I change my diet? I try to eat a little better, more salads and this and that. I do. Am I changing my life dramatically for trying to mitigate symptoms and make them less? You can't, right? Part of the brain is dead. My putamen is gone. No brain activity, no vitamins going to help with that. So that's the thing you just got to worry about, right? I mean, I'm not saying not to do it, but if you take a vitamin or supplement, it makes you feel better, great. right? It just depends what part of the body is affected for you, what part of the brain, and what symptoms you have. And MSA, you can't compare yourself with Cheyenne with myself, because even though we may have the same title, it's affected quite differently, affecting us differently. So different times, different you know intensities and stuff like so. Maybe vitamins work for one person and not the other, but every doctor keeps telling me the same thing: exercise, and boxing. Right. So I'm waiting for it to get warm outside so I can stay in the pool, do some more water aerobics and stuff like that. Play with the kids. I can still swim. Easier to float than it is to sink. But everyone's different. So exercise is the key to mitigating symptoms, keeping the muscles, keeping the legs going, keep walking, keep talking. Exercise is it, right? And I've been feeling pretty bad for the last couple of months, so I've been shying away from these things. But last night I was talking to my buddy at his house, and I went to go get up from his couch, and I had to like quadruple clutch myself to get up. Once I got up, thank God he reached out, because I don't normally reach out for guys or women, right? In general. And thank God he was there to put his hand out, because I started going forward and my legs wouldn't move forward to consider my gravity, right? So, um, if you think there's benefit in vitamins, go for it. Obviously, right? But myself, I've tried them. Like my neurologist even told me to stop the levodopa, carbidopa. It does nothing for me. She said, wean yourself off of it. You can do it overnight. Who cares? But take a week, take less and less. You don't have to wean yourself off of levodopa, carbidopa, or cinnamon. You don't have to do that. But we're at the point I started at in September, October, and now we're June. It's not going to work, right? That's MSA for you. If you have a reaction to levodopa, carbidopa, dopamine antagonist, whatever, it's probably Parkinson's. If you don't at all, or very minor, or you do have a reaction and it stops, then it's not probably Parkinson's. It's some other neurological disorder, including MSA. So just a quick live for you guys. Again, I'll post you guys' names and stuff in there. If you like these live things and you guys have a good time for me to get on or want to chat or whatever, please let me know. I'm all forward. I'm here to help. I'm here to try. Okay. As much as this wears me out, my voices and stuff, right? The shaking and stuff. I feel better knowing that I'm at least giving input, right? And if you got more questions with more detail, please, I'll try my best, right? Hey, I don't understand the difference between a DAT scan and a L-DOPA scan. I'll show you, right? Not everybody can research, look up stuff and know what they're looking at, what not to look at, right? I mean, we're all great at different things. So I like research and development, and technical things. I'll research, right? Figure out all the words and stuff, and then I'll get back to you guys. So just let me know. Love you guys to death. And again, I'll see you. I got a video I just posted, and this one's going to go live. So I'll get another one up there, and we'll see how it goes. All right. See you guys.